Guess who got brands talking? Brandlive.co.za.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the WITTEE Chatterbots show. So, if you are new to the show, a warm welcome to you. I am Carmen, your host, and we are coming live from the Brand Live studios in 27 boxes in the bohemian city of Melville. Now, the WITTEE Chatterbots show, Women in Tech, empowering everyone, aims to empower you by interviewing a wide range of remarkable and thought-provoking guests to discover as we navigate through the constant change around us. We will explore topics on business, technology, innovation, and marketing, and give you bite-sized insights that can help you propel forward and embrace the entrepreneurial culture. Today, we have the hilariously funny guy with us in studio. We've got Alfred Adriaan. Welcome.
Hello. It's so lovely to be here. Very early in the morning, but lovely anyway.
Oh my gosh, listen. Okay, so let me tell you about this guy. Okay, so Alfred is a young comedian flying up the ranks of SA comedy scene, and he is truly slaying the world of comedy in SA at the moment. And you have 2 consecutive South African Comics Choice nominations.
4. No, I've got
4,
5.
5.
I've had 5 nominations in 4 years, but have you noticed I don't say wins? I've said just nominations.
Oh, that's as
every
good as a
year,
win, man.
I know it's not. it's just like I sit there like Leonardo DiCaprio every year. when the camera comes and they go to all of us, and then I lose and I act like it's
You're
okay.
like, it's okay.
My wife, you must just look at my wife's face in those tapings. My wife goes angry. She's like, he's been robbed again.
Oh my gosh. Listen, guys, we met like a half an hour before the show and my stomach hurts. I have never laughed so much in my life. But anyway, okay. So warm welcome to you.
Thank you so much for having me, man.
So I'm going to start off with a question which I like to use is, show me your friends and I will tell you who you are. Vladimir Lenin says that. Who's your friends, and do you think this is true?
I think it's especially when you're older. When you're younger, sometimes you hang on to people that you not necessarily, you don't gel with, but you stick there because you're sort of lonely and insecure, right?
Yeah.
But as you grow older, you can definitely tell by people's friends. Like, for example, my friends, I'm very good friends with John Flismus. I'm very good friends with Jason Goliath. I'm very good friends with, and I'm just mentioning the celebrity ones because the rest of you will not know. I've got a lot of I've got comedian and business friends. Those are and a very small group of them. Yeah.
And it's also an interesting thing is, especially as you transcend into your career and you start doing well, I think you also need to be very careful of who you select.
Absolutely.
And who surrounds you.
Absolutely, because you can take the wrong advice from people. It influences the way you think. It's the pool of people you are around. Just think about this. There's aunties and uncles and people that sit in places that they can't progress in life because every day they're surrounded by gossip heads, just people that speak negatively about other people. So where do you think that's going to end up? But if you hang out at the university and you're speaking with students that are going forward and thinking about new things, you become enlightened and you go and search for those things, and then more enlightened people walk into your life. So I mean, it's obviously a big thing. Yeah.
Like negativity breeds negativity.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't believe in that. It's a cliche, but it's one of the ones that are absolutely true. I'm surgical about that.
Yeah.
Like, if I find that even if you didn't offend me, but if I find that you are a very negative type or you are unnecessarily harsh or critical, I want your criticism. That's part of it. But if you are just negative for the sake of being negative, I cut you out.
Yeah, you don't bring any value to my life.
I tell my wife all the time, no, we're not going to that party. I'm done with those people. And then she's like, no, we've known them for 20. I don't care. I don't want my son to hang out with his son because I don't know what's going to happen when I turn my back. I don't want my kid in that space. That's how I roll.
And I love that also because you're authentic about it, because also you have a big responsibility on your shoulders being a comedian.
Oh, yeah.
So you also have to bring the positive light and the humor and so forth. But you can't be around people like that. So it's an interesting thing, but very insightful. Now, a lot of people don't know this maybe about you, but I find this very intriguing, is the fact that you come out of marketing and communications and a corporate background. So
that's it.
Marketing teaches you to have the ability to master and exploit change, because change is the most constant thing in our lives as marketers.
Absolutely.
And it also teaches you to understand your audiences better and to be of better service if you're a good
Yeah.
marketer, of course.
Yeah.
Would you say that your background may have impacted your act?
Oh, absolutely. I think that, first of all, I did a BCom. I did a BCom at the University of Port Elizabeth. Now it's called Nelson Mandela Metropolitan University. Then I moved to Joburg as a brand manager. That's my claim to fame. My first 10 years here, I ended, like, my last job was a marketing manager for EMEA. I was a proper
Wow.
multinational thing.
Wow.
And it's so true what you're saying, is that change is the only constant. And the reality is that I learned from marketing and my day job. I learned very quickly that you have to do what you're passionate about. So I was passionate about marketing, but I didn't love it. Like, I hated the admin, because people don't tell you that it's not just ideas, ideas, ideas. 95% of the time you're sitting
Yeah.
and emailing people to make sure that they put the banner up.
Yeah.
The thing was that I went to work every day and I wasn't very happy about it. Like, and then I found comedy and I was lit, I was on fire. And so when I went to work, there was a friend of mine called Temba, and he's head of marketing for some very big beer company at the moment. And he used to love the job. He still loves the job. He's there early, he leaves late. He's absolutely passionate. And I was like, in the long run, I'm a very hard worker, but in the long run, I can't beat this guy.
Yeah.
He's way too passionate. He'll do this thing on Sunday afternoon. He loves it.
Yeah.
That's comedy for me. And I always look at the animal kingdom. You must move on if you find that you've done everything you can. Animals, buffalo moves away from the water hole. They only there, and they migrate. And migration is key. We must constantly change. And marketing teaches you that, because if you don't change with the times, a new product comes in and it dominates, and your product falls by the wayside. Kodak. Just think about what a monster they was. They didn't move to the digital camera. In fact, they sat on the digital camera. They had the technology first. They said, no, don't worry, because they were making so much money out of development. Then the world moved on.
Yeah.
Right now, and I'm going to, there's not naming and shaming, I think that it's all over the news, DSTV. You see more and more people downgrading packages. You see more and more people moving away, because Netflix is a real thing in South Africa. Showmax is a real thing in South Africa. Prime.
You're from Amazon.
Yes,
Yeah,
Amazon
yeah.
Prime just bought the rights to some of the biggest football. Like the big claim that a lot of these big broadcasters have is football, and they keep on to subscriptions because of football.
That's
It's
so
just
true.
been bought by Amazon, so it's going to be streamed now. You just imagine that Amazon or Netflix had rugby.
Yeah.
It would be over. It was like SABC One used to have all the rugby,
Yeah.
and then only Supersport.
Yeah.
And then everyone subscribed to Supersport. The world keeps on evolving, and if you don't move with it or ahead of it, you are left behind and don't get comfortable. That's the thing.
Apocalypse. There you go. And you know the one thing that I must say is like, if you can't disrupt your own business, disrupt somebody else's. Look at Amazon, exactly what you
Yeah.
said. I mean, in the age of manufacturing, in the age of information, in the age of the consumer,
Yeah.
they disrupt in every single
Every single
silo.
category.
And this is the thing is like as marketers, I think understanding the human behavior and the behavioral economics is so important, that I do think that, especially with your act, and what you highlight, I do think that you probably have a lot of gems to play with and a lot of realities.
Oh yes, the trick for me in comedy is in stand-up, especially. I think that the success I've had up to this point has completely got to do with human truths, insights,
Yes.
real insights. All my jokes are based in some sort of reality. If you went through my set list, or you went and watched my show, and you think, who is that disabled boy I speak about? Because I make a gag about that, and it's not very PC. Come to the show, you'll see, but you'll laugh. And I make a gag about my father, and I make a gag about my mother, and about a girlfriend that was bad. All of those things happened. I obviously exaggerate here and there to give it some, to make it funnier. But it's all about real insights and truths. That's the only way your authenticity comes across, and that's the only way to differentiate yourself from other comedians, because people gravitate towards, for me at least, towards the truth and authenticity. And so that's how I've been winning, and that's been my big secret. And you can tell people this, but sometimes you can lead people to the water. Not everyone's got the ability to open their mouth and swallow.
Exactly. But
You know?
it's so true. Like, I also look at myself, like in
Yeah.
my career, like I'm a bit wacko.
Yeah.
I am crazy, and I'm not the corporate type, and I
No,
deal
absolutely.
with, and I just feel like in order for me to thrive, I need to be me. If
Absolutely.
you don't like it, then there's a door.
There's great entrepreneurs yourself, like people that are just not cut for for the cubicle. And there's other people that are fantastic in the cubicle, and God bless them. But the reality is, I wasn't cut for that cubicle. Your personality and mine, I feel like it's very similar. I'm very high energy. It was torture for me to sit there.
Yeah.
Oh, I wanted to make
Wanna
ideas
die.
and things happen, and I wanted to see the number move, and then I was stuck. And my boss, and then you start realizing a lot, unfortunately, and this is my opinion. I'm sure that listeners out there would disagree. Some disagree, some won't. My feeling was that it becomes too much about the KPI
Yes.
than about
Yes.
what will actually move the needle. So we go, we sit in the meeting with our boss and HR, and they go, HR, this is our targets for the year. We have to do this, this, and this. We tick those boxes. In a fluid environment, how can you be so rigid about targets and how you're going to go forward and. So then I used to suffer in that, because I used to go, guys, this marketing plan that was very relevant last year is not relevant now, because the game has changed. But if I don't
Exactly.
follow that path, I'm not going
Yeah.
to get my bonus because it's not my KPI.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. I hated it.
You know, you're talking such a truth now. Like Warren Buffett, a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
I always want to say buffet.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Warren Buffett.
He said that he is encouraging companies all across the globe to stop with this KPIs of targets every quarter,
Yeah.
because it impacts the decision making and making the right decisions for corporates. And I do believe it's so true.
Absolutely.
Can't be a result. Money is the result,
Yeah.
but the times as we're changing, you can't be focused on money because it's not sustainable.
Yeah. It's not sustainable. And also, when the bigger the conglomerate, the more difficult it is to effect change.
Yes,
I
I
always
love
go.
that.
I go and I look at people like, and I always go like, I have a friend. Well, my brother's good friend who worked at Facebook,
Yeah.
and South African guy got this dream job at Facebook. And at Facebook, just like at Google, they say you can do whatever you want. It's about innovation.
Wow.
And he was there for 2 months doing what he wants, and they fired him.
Oh shit.
Because the reality is that they want the bottom line to move. And the bottom line only moves if you come in there with some sort of focus, but a fluidity, a level of, flexibility. Because things change, man. It's like taking the boat out now, taking the yacht to Cape Town, but then the wind changes. And
Yeah.
then you end up and you go, oh no, this looks like a city, but it's Durban. You know what I mean? That's what happens. Things change.
Love
The
that.
currents change all the time.
No, it's so true. Okay, I'm gonna call it as I see it.
Okay.
Comedy is not for sissies.
I don't think I hate the word sissy, because it also, like, and I know you don't mean it this way, but it takes me back to my childhood, man. You know, when people used to, I don't know, sissy indicates that for me, and only in my head, that it's a negative connotation, meaning that you're more like a female, which as a man,
I get you.
which
Yeah.
and that's not females aren't
Yeah.
weak in
I
any
like that.
sense. I think
Yeah.
they're stronger.
Yeah.
So like, if you say it's not for sissies, I think it is for sissies.
Yeah.
Sissies are hard people, you know what I mean? And they have to deal with a lot more scrutiny in the world. So if you call me a sissy, I don't care. But my reality is that no, it isn't for the faint of heart.
No, not at all.
I don't. It's not the kind of business where you can hide. You know, in corporates you can hide. You can hide, man. I used to hide all the time. You sit there behind your desk, you look like you're working, but you only have to really do an hour's worth of work to effect the change that you need to hit your KPI. And then the rest of the time, you can't hide in comedy. You're out there. If the people don't
Right,
laugh, you
expose
didn't hit your target. They didn't laugh. They weren't entertained, and they immediately respond by going, "I'm not paying for that again."
Yeah, and that's so true. Is because I think what people always see is the fun, the glamour, and the excitement of comedy,
yeah.
and then they think, oh wow, I also want to be a comedian. But the funny thing is that the work behind the funny is a serious business.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I think I've said this a couple of times to people. Comedians, like, that are very funny, aren't necessarily the biggest comedians in the country. The comedians that do well and have longevity are often great businessmen. Great businessmen, and you can mention them. John Flismus, fantastic businessman. Mark Lottering, they're great. They don't look it, and they don't act it. But if you call Mark today, he's probably up right now. He probably had a run already. I know him very well.
Wow.
Him and his partner, Anwar, is probably planning which shows they're doing. They know exactly what their layout's going to be for the year. You don't put on a musical in Cape Town and sell out 2 runs of 30 shows back to back at the Baxter by being just an artist and flimsy about it. You book the theater, you do the marketing, you do the PR, you make sure that the show is right. In fact, the show itself, sometimes as a successful comedian, you have to take yourself back out of the business and go, listen, I have to focus on a quality show, because there's so much business in it. And the guys that stay in it understand branding, positioning, marketing, forecasting. They understand those things. And that's why my BCom came very handy, you know. But it's not for the faint of heart. You can do it's one of those businesses you can do everything right and it can still not go your way. That's just how it is.
It's fascinating to me because you know what, like especially if I look like teaching and those kind of things that I do and preparing content and so forth.
Yeah.
That in itself is a full day job.
Oh, absolutely.
And then you still have to meet with clients. You need to make sure that you go and sell yourself, the business development, and at the same time, you have to organize all the events behind it.
Oh,
it is a lot of work.
And you always have to smile. And you've been up since 4 o'clock this morning. I've been up since 5 this morning, right? Like people don't, and then most nights I still have a show tonight. I can't walk out there with blue eyes and go, no, that's the thing I'm trying to sell all day. And then the last thing I do is the comedy. The reality is that, you know, we've got this whole Instagram generation where we find a lot of people go and they speak about this glamorous life of being a comedian or the glamorous life of being an entrepreneur. But what they don't tell these kids is the grind, the real grind. They show the great, they don't show the negative so much.
Yeah.
Lots of business people are sitting out there and will agree with me that on the 25th, when everyone's debit orders go off, many times they sit there and go, where am I going to get that extra 10,000 Rand this month?
Yeah.
And if you haven't lived that life and you don't understand it, it comes. And especially in the beginning, it comes more often than not. So if you're not comfortable and your personality can't deal with a lot of pressure. My father was a businessman, and I always used to, I admire him more now than I did then, because he never made me feel like it was rough. But it must have been terribly difficult because he had a supermarket and his margins were at the most 15%.
Sure.
On perishable goods in an area where, you know, people didn't have money. So if bread was 50 cents more expensive, they walk a kilometer to the next shop because it's cheaper there. And then they buy the other stuff there. So when you have your footfall changes. So now I go, everyone used to look at my dad and go, wow, this guy is doing his business, is going well. Da, da, da. The man must have been absolutely ridden with stress.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Managing the perception.
Oh, absolutely. Managing them, because you don't show weakness, right?
Correct,
You don't. Because some months you have a great month. You're doing so well. And then 2 months goes by and it's just nothing. You know what I mean? It's just how it is.
It's quite fascinating. Listen, we're going to go for a quick ad break and then we'll hook you up afterwards with some more content.
The station with the best music. Best music.
I love the music.
Best music.
1, 0. This one's explosive.
brandlive.co.za.
You know life can be so ordinary. Boy meets girl, they said, oh, make a baby.
brandlive.co.za.
Welcome back, everybody. You are tuned into the WITTEE Chatterbots show, Women in Tech Empowering Everyone. And we are sitting here with Alfred Adriaan, who is really giving us some great insight into the business behind the funny. And also, we're having some great chats. But now we're going to actually talk about the theme of his act, which is all about the solo debut, which is dating life.
Yes.
So give us a little bit of a snapshot about that. Go wild and say things that you won't say normally at corporates.
So, first of all, dating life is a play on words. So it's me dating life. It's really my life story. From where I come from, Hanky in the Eastern Cape, all the way to moving to Port Elizabeth to do school, and then from PE and all those things that a young guy from a farm area goes through, and then moving to Johannesburg, and then trying to find a girlfriend, and then, you know, all these things that I encountered in the workspace about, you know, new cultures, because I grew up in an area where, you know, I didn't mix with black kids or white kids. and then it was thrust in high school, black kids and white kids, and then you start learning about them. And then you have white teachers, because I come from the 90s. So like I didn't know what apartheid was, but
Yeah.
so when we walked out, like I just saw kids, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you start realizing like kids don't care, hey?
Yes.
They don't care.
Yes.
But like our parents were like very, like when I brought white friends over, you know what I mean? I'd notice, oh, there's definitely something wrong here. Because when I bring my colored buddy over, my mother doesn't care. But when I bring my white friend over, she says, give me some time. We need to paint the house first. It's we eat things we've never eaten before. Pawpaw and bacon. It's like, what is this, Dad? No, you know we always eat like this. Kids don't know what to do. My brother's licking a kiwi. He has no idea. So it's all about those kinds of things, and just like it's the story of a single boy from the 90s, really, and then it it has some hilarious effects to it, and then it talks about all the way up to the point where I finally find my wife, and then we talk about married life after that. So
Oh,
it's
love
that
it.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a bit. There's a lot of. I've found my audience as and I targeted it at this. They've said, oh no, I know about that. It resonates with me.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of those moments in
Yeah.
there. That's what I was working on for the last 2 years, and it's been a hell of a journey. And I think I wanted to do it at the Pieter Torin Theatre, but it is a very difficult theatre to get into because they only put on shows at a very high standard, so they're very selective. And finally, after 3 years, and the help of my team at WACT, they managed to get me in. You know how it is. You have a goal and you reverse engineer, and it took me 3 years. So I wrote the show and I spit shined it. You know what I mean? And now it's ready for stage. We are shooting. We're shooting on
Oh,
the 7th for
lovely.
television, for those
Yay.
same channels that I just mentioned earlier. And I'm also doing an
You
Afrikaans.
can name them.
Yeah,
It's okay.
I'm doing stuff for DSTV, and then it's going to also be flighting on KakeNet.
Oh,
Hopefully, if the
nice.
deals come through, because I'm doing the show in Afrikaans, and the Afrikaans version of the show is called Van Hankie. So then I start the show as Ek is Van Hankie, and then brrrr. And yeah, because I'm Afrikaans boy, and
But
I
I
have
like the play on words on
yeah,
that.
yeah. I'm from the far. I have to, you have to accept and grab onto identity, and so I've got a big Afrikaans audience, and I'm so funny in Afrikaans because your own language is
Yeah.
you're so much more descriptive,
Yeah.
and Afrikaans is a fantastic comedy tool. Really is.
Yeah.
I always like when I walk into especially areas that are predominantly Afrikaans, Brakpan, Pretoria, I have the best time because there's two things that people have a misconception with still in this day and age, and I
Yeah.
think that they think Pretoria and Afrikaans people are very difficult. They are the absolute best, most, especially the youngsters, the most liberal audiences, and they don't let you get away with nonsense. Like if you do a bad race joke, I've seen them walk out. So
Wow.
I absolutely, we have to give props. We always go and I think that, and it's just maybe it's my opinion that Afrikaans people especially get a bad rep, you know what I mean? Especially in the media because they get, pummeled with, oh no, there's this race issue or that race issue.
Yeah.
The predominant, I would say 95% of them are fantastic, liberal, love, like
I totally
don't
agree.
stand for racist nonsense. So like I said earlier, I always feel for them because I think that they also suffer from a stereotype. Like I suffer from a stereotype.
Yeah.
When I walk in the door, I'll be very aware of the fact that when people, like I'm a colored guy, so like when they look at me, there's triggers that go off. And then they go, ooh, this guy, like when I walk on stage, a lot of the times, especially when the audience is older, I can see them go, ooh, what is this boy going to say? And then I have to go, Auntie, moet jy worry nie, ek gaan nie vloek nie, ek is ordentlik. Then you have to disarm them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they think a colored guy is either violent or he's going to be like, and it's,
Take the Mickey out
Man,
of you. Oh my god.
my mother is a teacher. I have known nothing about violence. I don't know. So yeah.
Yeah, but it's an interesting point that because I totally agree with you. I think that society has been stereotyped.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, we even do it as marketers.
Yeah.
We put people in LSM blocks and we say,
Absolutely.
okay, we spent millions of rands on research and now we're going to put you back in a box.
Absolutely.
That's what we do.
And
we-
sometimes skewed research.
Okay, well, I mean, this is the problem. But
Yeah,
anyway, I
that's
want to
it.
ask you one important question to
Yeah.
add to what you said.
Yes.
There must be some sort of boundaries to comedy. If you look at Kathy Griffin, what she did
Yes.
with Trump and the ISIS decapitation of
Yeah, yeah.
Donald Trump, with a very touchy climate,
Yeah,
what can and can't you do?
We are living, and I do feel it on stage, that people are woke. You know, this new idea
Yes.
of being woke. You know what I mean? And I feel like as comedians, we are there to push the envelope. We do have to challenge people and the way they think a little bit. And sometimes you walk that very dangerous line where if you just step one side left, you are branded as a racist for the rest of your life, or you are branded as a male chauvinist pig, or you are branded as this extra like angry feminist or whatever. So what happens is that you have to use your moral compass, and this is where things get tricky. You have to design gags that challenge people but that don't go against people's fundamental beliefs. And sometimes we get it wrong because we are living on that edge all the time. And so to get it wrong, eventually you walk on the tightrope every day. It's like, remember that the lion guys from Las Vegas? Remember those guys the famous two guys that like do the lion show? And what's their name again? I can't remember. Every day they go out there and they do these tricks with this lion. You know what I mean? And it's fantastic. You know, it's like, wow, these are lions. You know what I mean? And then one day, because you've done it so long, you do something slightly wrong. A drop of sweat falls on the lion's tongue and he pummels you.
Oh my goodness.
You know, that's what comedy is like
That's
sometimes.
such a great way
And
of
it was just
explaining it.
once you did something wrong. I don't necessarily believe. I think that Kathy Griffin now, when she looks back at it, she goes, "Ah, man, that was a mistake."
Yeah,
But you can't take it back in the global media space. Once
Yeah.
it's out there, it's out there.
yeah.
Roseanne Barr, I don't believe for a moment that Roseanne, although I don't believe with a lot of the Republican things she says,
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that I think that she is a bad human being for any reason. You know what I mean? It's just how it is.
Totally
It
agree.
happens.
Listen, I mean, I wish we had the whole day to chat with you.
Let's stay here. Lock the
Oh
door.
my gosh, let's lock the door.
Lock the
let's
door
stay.
and let him just stay.
Okay, so in tradition,
Yes,
we
ma'am.
have a 60-second game, but I'm extending that to 2 minutes for you
Ah,
so that you can bring out the funny for us, okay?
let's hope.
So, on your marks, get set, go. Give us a genius Wi-Fi name.
A genius Wi-Fi guru.
Okay, what is something everybody looks stupid doing?
Brushing their teeth. I don't know. Putting on their underpants.
When last did you make an ass out of yourself?
Yesterday. It's
What did
every
you
day.
do?
I went on stage and made an ad. I'll do that for a living.
What sport would be the funniest to add a mandatory amount of alcohol to?
Curling.
What's that?
Curling is that thing that you put the stone down and people have a broom and have
Oh,
a field.
yes.
Imagine if we were gesype. I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care. Start hitting each other. With
What is something everybody looks stupid doing?
putting on your underpants, I think.
Oh, I did
Yeah,
ask
yes.
that question. Oh, shit. I have
Yeah.
to ask you another one. Is cereal a soup?
Cereal or soup? No.
If you could invent a new flavor ice cream, because I know you like it, what flavor would it be?
Ooh. Sure. Chicken liver. Love myself some chicken livers.
If you were ever arrested with no explanation, what would your friends and family assume you had done?
Something terrible. Because they assume the worst of me anyway. Terrible. Hy was seker dronk. Hy was dronk. I promise you he was gesyp.
What is the funniest corporate business screw-up you've ever heard of?
Corporate business screw up. The time they did that Durex ad with the thing, I don't know, people have to look it up. Some dude did a inappropriate Durex ad in South Africa and it went viral overseas. And then someone got fired.
I must go check that out.
Yeah.
Okay, last question. What kind of cult would you like to start?
What kind of cult?
Yeah.
A cult of people that have sense. You know what I mean? Let's just use our common sense cult. Sometimes you are overeducating and overthinking things. Use your common sense when you walk out the door. I'd rather work with people that have common sense than a master's degree.
Oh, I love that.
Thank you.
Okay, well, we would like to thank you. You were such a great fun.
Thank
I
you
wish
so
I could
much
have
for
you here all
having
the
me.
time. We would just like to thank Brand Life Radio for the innovative container studio and for making this show possible. And listen to our other shows on www.brandlife.co.za, or you can find all our shows on either Castbox, iTunes, and Google Play, and search for Booyah by Carmen Murray. Please rate our show to help others find it. Thank you very much. And don't forget to tune in next week. Same time, same place. Lekker by die see. Woedoe blaffie haie.